Greetings, fellow fans of Star Trek, and welcome to Captain's Yacht. As we depart planet Earth for the 24th century, a few things to point out. Don't forget to tune in to the last part of each video, in which Scholar Beta and me, Captain Kanaka, will issue a special kind of Star Trek assignment for you all. All you gotta do is submit it through the comments. With that said, let's board the Captain's Yacht and see what we're talking about today. So this is kind of interesting because maybe you members of our audience may not know this, but Paramount had essentially greenlit a follow-up to Nemesis, and a script was written and a concept was in place even before Nemesis came out. This original draft of the story, the original Star Trek 11, not the J.J. Abrams universe, not anything else, was allegedly entitled Star Trek Federation. And this is how it would have unfolded. A rip in the space-time continuum would have brought all of Star Trek's villains together to attack the Federation. Everything. V'ger, the probe from Voyager, Khan, Shinzon, of course the Borg. Too much to handle for one person. So, as a result of that, Jean-Luc Picard is forced to team up with the crew of Deep Space Nine, Voyager, while also traveling back in time to retrieve characters from every chronologically previous show, including Data, they revived Data, Kirk and Spock, because who knows how to defeat Khan better than those two people, and Captain Archer from Enterprise. I guess there's some Xindi influence there. This was the idea. This was supposed to be the original Star Trek 11. So what do you think about that, Scholar Beta?
I don't know if you heard me, but a big sigh. I am not grateful for Nemesis. I hate that movie. It's terrible, straight up. I don't like to sound like a total just like I was talking about tribalism earlier, but I really dislike that movie. But I dislike this premise a lot too. To be honest, this sounds awful because in a single TNG film, my biggest problem, and even in the TOS films, it's really hard to give everyone their share. Who gets knocked out of the TNG movies? Crusher first, Troy second, LaForge third. It's always like that. They always get shoved to the side, and those are excellent characters. It's always the Patrick Stewart, Brent Spiner, and to some degree Jonathan Frakes, so he gets to direct, so it's less about his character, So how are they going to quadruple the size of the crew and still give people their screen time, their time to be a character, to be anything more than a 3D, a three-dimensional or one-dimensional cutout, whatever I'm trying to say? I just don't see that happening. To me, that's kind of a stinky garbage idea, in my opinion. But hey, who knows? Who knows?
It's the same problem with Infinity War in the Avengers universe.
Okay.
Because when they announced the Avengers Infinity War, I was sitting there going, how could you give these characters basically the same criteria that you pointed out? How can you give them screen time and active agency to the story? And when I first read the script, I was thinking about this Avengers Endgame-like scenario where everybody comes together for this climactic battle, and then Captain Picard sits there and goes, "Avengers!" Engage! And you have a major battle about that, and lots of explosions. Yes, Scholar Beta.
Okay, so that is interesting. Two things about that. If Data had 3 of his own movies, and then was in or if Crusher had 2 of her own films, can you imagine? They can't even get a Black Widow film. We'll never get a Beverly Crusher film or a Keanu Reeves film or anything like that. But if those people had that screen time, then it kind of works, because in your own film you get a lot of your screen time. And then in this, you're an ensemble, and so you're going to take some hits, but if you never get that screen time to begin with, it's really tough to feel like that character is a character at all. And then can you imagine a bunch of retired actors really fighting on screen together? That just seems
it seems insane.
I love it, but it's terrible at the same time.
Yes. So with that in mind, this project died horribly after Nemesis's dismal box office return. So it's worth pointing out that this is probably Paramount's attempt at saluting 40 years of Star Trek being on television, being in movie form. Because if you look at the chronology, this would have entered pre-production in 2003. And because of the logistics of getting everybody together and filming, you're looking at least a 2 to 3 year production, which means it would come out in 2006, which is the 40th anniversary for Star Trek, just the Star Trek universe in general. So we didn't get that. Instead, we got, instead of a Mega Trek crossover movie that would have easily rivaled the Avengers, we got a History Channel special narrated by Leonard Nimoy, in which Paramount auctioned off 40 years worth of props in their warehouse via Christie's auction house in New York. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's what we got. With that in mind, we have reached the point of our discussion here where we will give an assignment, our first assignment. So here is the assignment that I am giving to you all, or rather we are giving to you all right now. So, in the spirit of Star Trek Federation, I want you all, our audience members, to construct your Star Trek dream team of your favorite characters, including the captain, the crew, the starship, and the premise. We hope you've enjoyed this deluxe version of Captain's Yacht, a Star Trek podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So, with that said, live long and prosper, e malama pono, and see you next time.